Hello, everyone. This is the Reverend, and according to my wife, I am the world's strongest and nerdiest preacher. What are your thoughts? Let's get into the video.
Let's talk about a very dangerous movement that tries to disguise itself as Christianity. It's called the Hebrew Roots Movement. Now, they don't always call themselves that, but they do have very similar mistakes in their theology. The first thing is they believe that everyone should follow the Levitical law. Now, why is this wrong? Well, it's wrong because in the book of Acts, chapter 15, there were some Jewish men telling the Gentiles this very thing, and they were set straight. The apostles kind of discussed it, and they're like, well, here's the things you need to stay away from. And the things they listed were sexual immorality, meat that has been sacrificed to an idol, and the blood of an animal. And they said, if you stay away from these things, you shall do well. Now, the other things most people try to stay away from, especially back then, lying, stealing, the Ten Commandments, the moral law. And that's what they were pushing, was the moral law. The Levitical law didn't matter anymore because it was put into place for a specific time for a specific people. Now, Abraham is said to have kept the law of God. So was Melchizedek. And there are quite a few others. But Job was said to keep the law of, God. But here's the thing, none of them had the law of Moses. So, how were they keeping the law? Because this is what the Hebrew roots movement says, is that they were keeping the law of Moses. How could they keep a law that didn't exist yet? Because it didn't in any way, shape, or form. Adam was said to have kept the law of God after, the fall. But how could he have kept a law that didn't exist yet? They couldn't. The thing is, the law of God was different than the Levitical law. The law of God is the moral law. It is not the Levitical law. The moral law is different. The moral law is basic morality. Don't have sex before marriage. Only have sex with your wife or husband if you're a lady listening to this. Um, Things like that. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, don't murder. Killing's fine in self defense or in a time of war, but murder is not. Murder is very different. Murder is killing without just cause. Just killing for killing's sake or killing for revenge or something like that. The Hebrew movement, the Hebrew roots movement, gets this confused. They believe that the Levitical law is part of the moral law, which it is not. The Levitical law and the moral law are different. The Levitical law was a system of laws put into place by God for the Hebrew people during the time period after the Exodus. Now, Jews today try to keep the Levitical law up to a certain point. They follow the rabbinic standard now rather than the Levitical standard because the fall of the temple caused the Levitical standard to go kind of bye bye. What are your guys' thoughts on the Hebrew roots movement? Let me know in the comments below. But here's some more things that are very dangerous about this. They link your salvation to following the Levitical law. Now, that means this is a works-based salvation, which salvation has never been. Even during the time of the Levitical law, your salvation was not based on your works, it was based on your faith. God knew you couldn't hold up to that standard. But if you had faith that God would kind of hold up the difference. If you had faith that God was just and God was merciful and had faith in the coming Messiah, then you were saved and you went to heaven. The Hebrew roots movement don't believe this. They believe that unless you follow the law to the best of your ability, you go to hell. They believe kind of in a weights and measures kind of salvation, which is a false salvation and an antichrist. Now, you guys are hearing that and you're automatically thinking of Revelation. Different. An antichrist is any Christ type figure or Messiah type figure that is not the true Christ. It's an antichrist. And any false Christ, even the Hebrew roots movement's Christ, the Mormon Christ, the Jehovah's Witness Christ, the Seventh day Adventist Christ, they're all antichrists in their own way. So just keep an eye out for antichrists and make sure that they don't cause you to think you have salvation when you truly don't. Because if you get saved under an antichrist, you're not truly saved. I hope this helps you out.
Hey everyone, I just want to make sure you know to like, comment, share, subscribe, and make sure the notifications are turned on so that you get all of my upcoming content. As always, I love you all and God bless.